We are recording. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Beauty Birds podcast, where your birds, Tara.
Hey.
And Beka, that's me, have some adult beverages and talk about shit we like, mostly in the makeup world. But before we jump into the good stuff, Tara, you want to tell us what's on your face and what's in your face?
So on my face is a lot of Urban Decay stuff because, spoiler alert, that is like one of the brands that I was thinking of for today's podcast.
Yes.
My eyes, I have the Urban Decay Electric palette, which, like, don't come for me, I realize is old.
Whatever. It was only just discontinued.
Right? I mean, yeah. And then I also have my favorite glitter liner. I kind of use it as like an eyeshadow topper more than like a liner, but the Urban Decay Heavy Metal glitter liner in Distortion, which is like this awesome white base holographic glow, like a multi-chrome.
Oh, that's cool.
What about, oh, you know what? I'm drinking a fancy drink because you inspired me instead of my normal Keystones and Natties.
I mean, those are fine. I just didn't want to be the only one with a drink.
I have before your eyes a half vodka, half seltzer with lemon, and it is the Crystal Head.
Wait, you went 1-to-1 vodka to seltzer? Damn.
Is that not?
I mean, that's fine.
It's a small glass.
I think there's like 2 shots in my whole pint. But that's okay. We're here to party. It's Saturday night when we're recording.
Big oops. What's on your face and in your
No
face?
oops. No oops. That's fine. It's not like you're driving anywhere.
True.
Because we're all staying the fuck home. Please. I want to have plans in June, people. Stay home.
Right. I want to go out in August.
Okay, what's on my face? I'm super excited because I just revamped, restyled, figured out a new brow routine, and I'm so pumped about it. I finally gave in and I went back to the Benefit Gimme Brow, which also is one of the brands that we're going to be talking about today a bit. But this is a really great product. It's like a fiber brow gel, so it kind of fills in on top of keeping your brows in place. And they came out with new colors, so I used the gray one, and then I filled it in with also brand new, courtesy of Sephora sale, the Fenty Beauty, what's it called? Brow MVP Ultra Fine Brow Pencil and Styler in dark brown, which also, by the way, I mean, it's just a regular fine pencil, but check out the little brush on the other side. It's not a spoolie. It's like
It's interesting.
Did you use little brush? Not today, but I have. It's really soft and feels really nice. I'm drinking a swanky cocktail and thus encouraged you to have one as well. I think technically it's called a Paloma, but I definitely didn't make it right. It's grapefruit soda, grapefruit juice, tequila, and mezcal.
God, I love tequila.
If you like tequila and you like smoky things, you'd probably really like mezcal. Mm-hmm. But it's like a shot and a half of tequila and half a shot of mezcal because it's really smoky and intense. Anyway, it's delicious, and that's my drink today.
What are we talking about today, Becca?
Today, we're going to talk about brands that went in the wrong direction, or that, in our very intelligent and well-researched opinions, brands that evolved badly.
Yeah, I just wanted to ramble and rant on about brands that just, like, I look back at past releases and compared to now and just are like, what happened?
I think a lot of this, to me at least, is going to be especially compared to what these brands were doing in like 2014 to 2016.
Yeah.
Which, while we've talked about in past episodes, was kind of the height of this becoming like a serious hobby for both of us, was also when I feel like makeup as a hobby in general was really booming.
Yeah.
And like before the market felt quite so saturated. So who do you want to shit on first?
Are we going in order?
We don't have to. I mean, there's no real order. We just kind of wrote up a list together.
All right. Let's start with Too Faced.
Okay. What are your feels?
I just don't understand their branding and like what they're trying to accomplish as a brand. Like, what is your design aesthetic? What is your
I think it's
messaging?
just stuff that Jared likes at this point.
Yeah, I think so. That was like made very clear by that dog palette.
Jared
Or,
is the founder, CEO. I don't know. One of the founders of Too Faced, I believe.
yeah.
Um, didn't he have a very distasteful birthday cake last year or the year before?
I don't remember what it said. Rich
Something
Lives
about,
Matter.
oh yeah, I think it was Rich Lives Matter or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about the whole aesthetic of the brand now.
Yeah. It's not something like I'm not going to go outright and cancel him as a person and the brand for the cake because it's just distasteful, whatever. But like honestly, it's just not worth my time, the brand.
Yeah, I back in the day liked quite a few things. I mean, I feel like the Too Faced chocolate bar palette was
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the palette
Yeah.
craze. Like they really, that was a unique and like original, rightfully hyped product at the time.
Yeah, it was like the chocolate bar palette and the naked palette were like the two palettes that every single YouTuber was like either doing tutorials about or like you have to go get it. And that kind of like set the tone for, I guess, all of the makeup that was to come.
I really liked their hangover primer, the face
I
primer.
love that one.
It was really more like a lotion. It was more of
Yeah.
a moisturizer, but
But it
um
left like that tacky.
mhm. And I had their Snow Bunny bronzer back in the day too, which if you look at now is like it was basically stripe of like bronze blush and highlight kind of shades with like a ton of glitter. And I would
Yeah.
swirl my brush and the whole thing, basically put it all over my face. But they have like too many themes going on with their products now.
Yeah, there's just like a lot happening and it's like
And they're
because
very at like opposing sides.
yeah. And like they did that throwback palette where they did like a throwback to 1990, if
I
you
don't
remember
remember
that.
that.
Um
Look it up.
yeah, like I think it was like a 20-year anniversary. No. Yeah? What year is it?
It's 2020.
Maybe it was like I don't know, it was like a couple of years ago. Maybe like a year or two ago. And they did like all original colors at the bottom where it was like this is the stuff we used to release and then these are like the revamped what we would release now kind of colors. And like the ones from back in the day were way more fun and playful and like the ones from now were like, yeah, that one.
For those just listening, I'm holding up a picture on the screen, but I'll put one in the blog post as well. That's a really ugly palette. It's kind of like this knockoff Saved by the Bell slash Rugrats font, which as a designer, you must be like dying inside looking at it.
Almost always.
Um, and yeah, I agree. I think, oh, no, I do like the bottom row more. It says circa 1998 and then circa 2018.
Okay, those were the years. And then they did like a lipstick launch too, where they had like fun colored lipsticks where it's like it was almost as if they were mocking their past selves to be like, oh look how ridiculous we were. Let's release this silly blue, and it's like, no, we like kind of want that.
Yeah. I think it's weird. So they have the Born This Way line, which is like all of their complexion stuff. And then they have the whole better than sex and lip injection thing, which is kind of how I remember them being. Like they were more,
Yeah,
it was pink, but it was more of like a sexy leaning thing, which not that that's really a great thing either. But they still have those and then also went like chocolate bar and they have this whole peach collection.
like super cutesy.
And I just don't like what's your angle, guys? Who are you
Yeah,
trying to appeal to?
and then they do that whole thing during the holidays where like they just forget all quality and just like release weird stuff like Christmas tree shaped packaging with pans that don't fit inside the package is all nice, and it's just like I wish you would have put any thought into this.
Yeah, there's no like cohesive thing that they're going for. They have a highlighter for Lunar New Year, which like
Mm,
just feels like such a marketing grab for diversity that doesn't really make any sense with their brand.
Which, like, fun fact, was not even a new shade. They just re-released it with packaging.
Yeah, it's the same highlight. It's shaped like a huge like an emerald cut stone, but they just changed the packaging and made it red for Lunar New Year.
Yeah, so like I just don't know what their angle is anymore. And it's just like they used to have like a niche market where it was like they were, the chocolate bar, and like you said, and even the Hangover RX line was like a pretty good like tell to their brand, but now it's just kind of all over the place. And I feel
Yeah,
like they're kind of struggling to like find themselves in this new makeup world.
not that like everything that a brand creates needs to be part of one cohesive thing. Like
Mhm.
obviously there's going to be multiple product lines, but I'm really struggling with the better than sex and like this false plumped lip effect, like that lip injection line, to then also have, oh, and the newer mascara is Damn Girl, and then also have this peach stuff and the cocoa, and it feels like they're really trying to appeal to young kids, and like
Uh,
you can't do both of those. I mean, you
yeah.
can, but it makes you kind of scummy.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're doing and like who even is buying from them anymore, because like I feel like even their palette releases are just the same neutral palettes with different packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not out here innovating with like different beautiful color palettes, like for example the Melt release that they just did, the 420 palette, which like we have thoughts and feelings on that in general.
We're gonna get there.
Name aside, like the color story was just gorgeous, but
Yeah.
like I just feel like Too Faced is the same pop of blue or like pop of purple, pop of pink. And it's just like, how long can you do that with different
And like
themes?
this palette, it's the natural lust palette.
Yeah,
Why is it called that? It's $59. There's, wow, is that 30 shades in this palette?
they color pop themselves.
And it's basically all the same color
Yeah.
28 times, and then like a black and a glittery turquoise.
Yeah, I just feel like their target audience is the person who kind of wants makeup but doesn't know where to start.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's technically not a terrible place to be from like a marketing angle, but
But
it's
then,
not how you build like long-term consumers.
yeah, like look at us with Sugar Pill. Like we're ride or die Sugar Pill fans because they keep coming out with cool new things that we're just like, wow, that is awesome. Like that is something that they thought about. Like I love it. And it's just like year after year, Sugar Pill. It's
Do
not like,
I would say except for Melt and Sugar Pill, except for like the smaller indie brands, um what I wear now has entirely changed from what I wore 4 years ago.
um, don't mind me, I'm just refilling my drink. Trying to think what I wore 4 years ago. Yeah,
Too Faced, Tarte.
no. The only Too Faced honestly that I've really ever owned was the Hangover RX.
I
I don't
had the
think I
chocolate bar
ever
palette. I sold it.
got it. I always considered getting it just because it was a really good color story. Like when I was on my hunt for like a neutral matte palette like a year ago, honestly, I looked at the chocolate bar palette and was like, oh, this isn't bad. Like it has a good shade range and the right amount of mattes for what I was looking for.
I feel like Too Faced really nicely leads into Tarte,
Ugh.
who's basically the same, of having just kind of all over the place of who they want to appeal to.
They're another identity crisis because I think of them specifically with that, with the icy bitch palette.
I believe it was Icy Betch, like Betch,
Bitch.
which I think makes it worse.
That is like my least favorite way to say that word, because my favorite way to say it is to go, ooh, bitch, like that. And like you spell that like beach, but like, with a bunch of E's, and then just bitch in general. But then like betch, it just makes me want to like launch myself out of my apartment window.
I used to really like Tarte. I think like when maybe like 2016, 2015, when they were doing stuff like the Park Avenue Princess bronzer and their Maracuja line. They were always known for their like Amazonian clay stuff, the blushes, and I think at that point they did already have the Lights Camera Lashes mascaras, and then the Tartelette palettes started coming out. The
Those
all
were
matte one.
really nice.
I had the original Tartelette, like that purple kind of leaning all matte 12 shade palette, and I thought that was really great. I thought it was a good kind of overall, not necessarily appealing to everyone, but it was, I want to say safe, but that makes it sound like a bad thing. But I feel like they were just decent quality, like normal things that a lot of people would have in their staples, where like
non-gimmicky normal things.
Yeah, whereas like soccer mom and like high school cheerleader and punk kid, like everybody needs mascara and like a good matte eyeshadow and blush and whatever else. And then they started doing their like rainforest of the sea and collabs with like Fitspo, like Instagram people.
Yeah. And that they just kind of like went off course and like rode that neutral palette theme to death, because didn't they do the Tartist?
I think it's Tartist.
Like
I didn't even mind like that original thing with their liquid lipsticks. Like that was that liquid lipstick formula was legit. It was good.
Why don't I remember their liquid lipstick formula at all?
They were very like moussey, like the.
Oh, I'm not a fan of those kind.
I mean, they set nicely, but they went on. It was like a very whipped consistency.
Yeah, I just feel like Tarte is another brand that's like kind of all over the place, and like they really cornered the market when they first started for like the people need neutral, and it was just like a very like grounded neutral company. But I just feel like they're all over the place now with the icy and spicy bitch, where like who.
So they have like that, and then the sea stuff, and like SEA want to appeal to like ocean, and they did like a whole mermaid thing, and it's very, I think both Tarte and Too Faced seem like somebody who wants to appeal to young people but has never actually spoken to young people.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. They make it like, I'm a cool mom.
Yes.
That vibe. But like, I help my mom with makeup stuff all the time. Not that she's not like a highly functional person, but like this is like my nerd area of expertise. And I probably will never, like, there's nothing from Tarte that I would actually recommend to her.
No, and I always confuse the two brands. I always confuse the two brands, Tarte and Too Faced. Like, there's releases where I'm like, which one of those two released it? Because it was one of them.
Yeah,
like
they definitely have
like one of them to me.
A common theme of like kind of having lost their way.
Yeah, like if you told me someone came out with a unicorn festival mermaid something, I would just be like, which one was it, Tarte or Too Faced?
Also, sorry for anybody who's watching, I'm licking the salt off my cup.
The salt is arguably like the best part of a mixed drink that comes with salt.
Yes. People who are like, I don't want a salt rim or I want sugar, and I'm like, no. We're reevaluating this friendship. I think both Too Faced and Tarte are very much lacking in a point of view.
Yeah.
Like again, not that everything has to be super cohesive within the brand. Like, obviously you're going to have different product lines, but you have to have like a central point of view that makes you appeal to people and makes them want to keep coming back.
Right. Like the reason we love the brands we love is because at the end of the day, we look at it and it's like, wow, I love their energy, or like, I really support what they support, and I enjoy how they produce their products. And like, not every, I'll use Lime Crime as an example, because they're on my list of brands who kind of do it right, even though they have their own shit going on. And not everything they've ever released was great, but like all of the things they've released, you look at it and go, yeah, that's pretty Lime Crime. Like,
That's
like
true. I'll give you that. Like, even though they've had missteps, other than like not just brand owner problems, but even like product release problems, everything that they've put out like makes sense for that brand. And even though in like recent years, especially since Joe Deere sold the company, they've done a lot more like normal, quote unquote, mainstream things. Like they did lip liners and brow products.
They
The
still
packaging
kinda make
still, yeah, like it makes sense for the brand.
like, goddamn, I'll even give Kylie Jenner credit on like her whole brand is her brand. Like, you're never looking at something going, is that Kyliner from Kylie Jenner? Like, yeah, obviously it is, you know?
Can we bring in another brand who's totally taken a left turn that you're like, I'm sorry, that brand released that?
Yeah.
Anastasia. ABH,
Okay. They
Anastasia
are like
Beverly Hills were like
off the rails.
changed. This is really dramatic, but they basically like revolutionized brow products and like
Yeah,
made brows a thing.
for sure.
Like people have brows on fleek and on point because of ABH.
For sure.
And then Norvina got her grubby paws on everything.
I'll let them have the first few years of palettes too, because they're the first palette I ever got. The first palette I ever bought, actually, when I started to get into makeup, was the Artist Couture palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills.
Oh man, I don't think I was even buying palettes yet then.
It was like an impulse buy, and I loved it for years. And it was really nice. And every single time they released a palette, I was really excited for it for a couple of years. And then I feel like it was like a speeding car where they kept releasing palettes and like we were excited for a while. But then I feel like someone cut the brakes in the car and like they just kept going and like releasing more stuff. And it was like, calm down. We haven't even seen this one yet. And you released two more like this year or last year rather, with the Jackie Aina. Oh,
Carly
yeah.
Bible, I'm not a huge fan of hers, but wow, she got screwed on that release. And actually,
so did Jackie Aina.
Jackie Aina got screwed. Carly Bible got screwed. I actually think Carly's palette was really pretty.
I thought they were both beautiful, to be honest, but like you didn't give anybody a chance to like.
But Jackie's is still available, right? Is it not?
I don't know.
I don't mean at all to dismiss Jackie. I think that she's great, and I think her palette was fantastic, and I think it was a smart move for both of them, and I really like that the shades she chose were definitely ones that were going to work predominantly for medium to darker skin tones, which like there needs to be more of that on the market.
Yeah.
I just personally preferred the shades in Carly's palette, but yeah. I think also the missteps started with the highlighter palettes because they started collabing and they would pump them out. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think they put out something like half a dozen of those stupid 4 to 6 pan highlight palettes in like a year. But also they did Modern Renaissance, which like changed everything. That started warm tone.
No, time all the way out.
No?
Lime Crime Venus started the warm, like it is literally the same palette. I have this conspiracy theory that's been brewing in my head that nobody is listening to because Lime Crime Venus was the first one, like it is the original Modern Renaissance. And then, hold on. Lime Crime Venus 2 was pretty much subculture with a few less colors.
You're right. I will say for mainstream brands that like people who just wander in the mall, walk in and can access, ABH did it. But you're right. Modern Renaissance and subculture are basically expanded versions of Venus and Venus 2. Wow, I never really thought about that.
They were my favorite palettes ever. I bought them like back in 2015 and I just like they're like my two original like I love these things.
And I've been debating buying the Lime Crime Venus palette for like 4 years. And I still haven't bought it because I own every damn shade in that palette. I know I do, but I still want it. I have wanted it forever.
It's actually really great. It's one of my favorite formulas to this day.
I've never tried their eyeshadow formula.
Really good. Or at least it used to be. I've heard really bad things about their most recent releases.
Okay, next time it's on sale, I'm going to buy this stupid thing.
Back to Anastasia Beverly Hills, though.
It's me in a palette.
Beautiful. Okay. I love it so much.
ABH.
Back to Anastasia. Neither of those two beauty gurus had their moment, though, because the two of them had their palette collabs and they were both gorgeous palettes and should have been spaced out even more because they both should have had their moments. But neither of them did, because immediately after that, not Anastasia, what's her name? Norvina took like a fucking truck and ran everybody over with her 3 palettes that were all like $70 each and like 1,000 shades that when you look at them, you just have like a little seizure in your head because all of the colors are out of order and like she's tricking you into think it was a disaster. I'm very stressed out.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. They're $60 each, and then almost immediately after she released the mini ones.
It was like almost rude.
It was nuts. Norvina is Anastasia's daughter, who I think was kind of always involved, maybe creatively, but she seems to have gained more control in the last 2 years, 3 years, 2.5. And like, I don't know. She's also really aggressive on the internet.
Unrelated, but like definitely very related. There's like a Glassdoor. You know how you can rate companies you work for and like review them?
Yes, I have seen those reviews for ABH.
Somebody
They're
that
not
for ABH was like absolute chaos, and like they go by like Zodiac for like their insight. It just seems like an absolute train wreck. It sounds like somebody cut the brakes at that company and they're just driving a car, throwing eyeshadows out the windows.
And that's wild, coming from a brand that totally changed how we buy and approach eyebrows as a step in our makeup routines. And I would say who really crushed the eyeshadow singles game.
And the eyeshadow palette game. Like, they released a lot of palettes that everybody looked forward to. Like, after I bought the Artist Couture one, like, I always look forward to an ABH palette release.
I forgot that there was also a Norvina eyeshadow palette that was in that's like velvet, the classic.
Yeah. They like color popped themselves where everyone just had like choice fatigue from them. And it was just like, I need you guys to go on a break, stop releasing stuff for at least a couple of months, leave us alone. You're harassing me.
11.
Yeah, they went from
they have like 11 palettes on Sephora right now, and that does not include doesn't include any face palettes. That's eyeshadow only.
That's wild, because it used to be like they released 1 or 2 a year and like people couldn't wait to see what the newest release was.
Well, that, and also like they would discontinue it. Like, yes, if you did not buy it in those 6 months or whatever, it was gone.
I remember that, and that was fun. That was like part of the.
Well, I think it was really smart of them to keep like Modern Renaissance and Soft Glam in the rotation. Guys, slow down. And like, there's a Nicole Guerrero glow kit right now. Who has seen her in like 5 years?
So really bizarre. I feel like they collab with her like 2 or 3 years after she like peaked. Well, but that is like a re-release because that palette came out like a year or 2 ago.
She's also BFF or was with Carly Bible, so.
I don't know any of the drama there. I know there's drama there, I just don't know it.
I don't know if there's any drama, but I know that they either are or used to be, but last I checked still were basically best friends. So if one of them got a thing, I'm not surprised that the other one also got something similar.
Okay.
Good for Carly for getting that palette though, because it's really nice.
It is real. And Jackie Ina's palette I thought was gorgeous. Even like
it's gone. It's not on Sephora. Tell me why Carly's is still up and Jackie's isn't, when I think that there was a much bigger market for Jackie's palette.
Yeah, I think they both got very shortchanged, Jackie especially, because like she had hers released and then like a week later the other one came out.
Something like definitely within the same month.
Yeah, so like my problem with ABH is just they went from being like a highly respected company to being like a parody.
Yeah. And then they had, if you listen to our last episode, well, by the time you hear this, it won't be our last episode. If you listen to episode 10 about MLMs, if you didn't, please stop this, go back to listen to 10 and then come back here. But they had the almost collaboration with Rodan and Fields, and then everybody on the internet was like, don't you dare, and they backed out. And I think that really also cheapened their reputation.
Which, like, so shiesty, because obviously when they went to go consult the brand, they knew what they were. It's not like they were like, oh no, it's a pyramid scheme. Like, no, you knew. Also, I think they have like the same, not the same owner, but like there's some tie in there where like they have the same like higher person that has way more I don't know.
Anastasia and Rodan and Fields?
Yeah, there's like some tie-in together, like
That's
stockholder, board member tie kind of thing.
I don't like that at all.
I don't have any real details, so like, believe me if you want to. I don't know.
Should we move on to more colorful brands?
Yeah.
Which one first?
Let me see who's on the menu.
Urban Decay or KVD?
Oh no, let's just get through Makeup Geek.
Oh, right. Makeup Geek. Once upon a time, like
they were
gold standard of eyeshadow.
Yeah, they were like any tutorial you ever watched from a YouTuber was like, and now I'm going to use Cocoa Bear, and now I'm going to use Bitten, and like they were
Peach Smoothie.
Yes, I had Peach Smoothie.
Corrupt. I had so many.
They were. I actually only had 2, but they were good shades. And they were like the golden standard for eyeshadow singles. And then they just stopped.
I still have a couple. I have like Chickadee.
Okay.
I have Poppy. And I think the other 3 I have are all Anastasia.
Wow. But yeah, they cornered the market because they were half the price of MAC single shadows, which were previously on the throne of like the single shadow gold standard.
But for like an independent small company to come in, single shadows, magnetic, $6. When I was first getting into makeup, it was Too Faced Chocolate Bar, Urban Decay Naked, Makeup Geek singles.
Yeah, well, it was like half MAC singles and half Makeup Geek because people like had a bunch of MAC, but they were like, oh, this shit's cheaper, so let's start buying Makeup Geek.
You're right. Lots of MAC in 2015.
And then they kind of just like slowly stopped releasing anything new, I feel like. Or like they kept releasing anything good. So they slowed down a little bit on the single shadows and went into like highlighters and palettes, but they were very expensive for what they were, I remember.
And like weird collabs.
And very weird, predictable collabs. It was like Manny MUA, Kathleen Lights.
I think Manny's a weird collab, but
I'm pretty sure he like rolled in that crew. Like Marlena was friends with him.
Yeah, Jaclyn Hill was a huge Makeup Geek user back in the day when she was relevant.
Yeah.
When she was relevant for good reasons.
Yeah. She is honestly like a good teacher. I don't know.
I liked her for a really long time until
I did too.
Like my reasons for no longer supporting Jaclyn Hill are 100% she did this to herself.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on her. I ultimately can't support her but feel bad, but don't feel bad. I don't know how to describe it. I wish there was a word for it.
I'm sure she's very upset and cries into her many dollar bills.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But Makeup Geek really like could have stayed at the top of the industry. Like they started cheap single shadows. They were around long before ColourPop, long before like any other brand. Because now it's like I feel like $6 is the price for single shadows now, thanks to Makeup Geek. Like even MAC slashed their prices because of Makeup Geek.
Yeah.
And like they just kind of didn't take what they could have ran with, and like the empire that they started, they just like left to crumble.
I do think Marlena had some personal things go on, which like is awful. I don't actually wish any of these brand owners ill will, except for one we'll get to. But yeah, and then they had that whole big fail with what was it, the sparklers?
The sparklers, was terrible. Oh my god.
If Temptalia tears you a new one, you in trouble.
Have you ever read her shitty reviews? Because she is
I think I have.
hilarious.
I've read some of them.
Like, she did the Urban Decay Wired palette and literally was just like, this is the worst thing I've ever tried.
I did read that.
Yeah, disappointing. But yeah, Makeup Geek, like, pretty much dropped off the grid, went quiet. Like, they're still running. You could still buy their shades. And then, out of nowhere, was like, after like a year or two of kind of just like silence, was like, yo, we are rebranding. It's gonna be great. This is us. Like, get hype. New Makeup Geek, new us. Like, prepare your brains. They're gonna explode. And everyone was just like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, nostalgia. I have your shadows. I want more. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. And pretty much the whole rebrand was just square pans.
I feel like maybe I blocked this out of my head on purpose.
Really? And like the weird part was like a lot of beauty gurus who like supported Makeup Geek back in the day and like have a soft spot for Marlena. Like, she's very nostalgic. Like, a lot of us grew up in our makeup career watching her. Like, she was the original beauty guru.
I never watched her, but I had like at least one full Z palette of Makeup Geek shadows back in the day.
And like, so a lot of beauty gurus who have since kind of moved on from Makeup Geek were like, all right, we're here to support you. Like, I'm so stoked. And you can never deny that they're good quality because she has always put out amazing quality eyeshadows. But like,
they are all square. It's terrible.
To hype up a rebrand for it to be square pans was just like, okay, are you shitting me? And they weren't cheap. Like, not that I think everything has to be cheap because ColourPop isn't exactly like what
they're $5.49. I'm looking at them now, but some of the shades, like the foiled ones, are $7.99.
Her palette matrix system was literally just like, you can combine certain shades to make a palette of your choosing, and it's like, girlfriend, that's what we've been doing with single shadows.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing for like several years now.
It was just like a very confusing and disappointing rebrand. And like, I'm all for supporting Marlena because she does have very good quality eyeshadows. It's just that was disappointing and not far off from like, I don't know.
She also said that Netflix is making a documentary about her.
About her, or was she just in that one?
Well, she said that it was about Makeup Geek, I believe, but it was actually like her for 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half in one episode of a show that was like, the episode was talking about counterfeit makeup.
I remember that.
So like, did not really have anything to do with Makeup Geek.
No, and she like randomly started inserting herself into like beauty guru drama for like a year to just be like, hey, remember me?
Don't all these people have PR staff? Jared, Marlena, Anastasia, and Narvina, like, hire a publicist and get off the internet.
Right. But yeah, it was just disappointing because she was like the innovator in single shadows and then kind of just picked up where she left off, and it was like, we've come a long way since then. You've got to do a little more for us.
I do have a correction, kind of unrelated. I think her singles were $5 and then MAC dropped theirs to $6.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because they're $5.49 now, so they've gone up 50 cents in a couple of years.
And like, that's still affordable. I'm not gonna rip her for her prices. I don't know.
I just
was hyped up so much for it to be square pans.
Yeah. Makeup Forever also switched to square pans in the last few years, and I am not into it.
Can you guys not? Because all of the rest of my pans are round and like
I wish you guys had thought to do square pans when Z palettes and those empty magnetic palettes were first happening. But now everything that we have is for round. Don't change it up now.
Right? Don't make me put a square in my Z palette.
I do have some square pans and
rectangular. The top row is all square.
What are those?
The Too Faced glitter palette.
These are all Makeup Forever.
It was like a straight to TJ Maxx exclusive.
No, I don't remember that.
That's where I got it. Because so I love the Urban Decay Moon Dust shadows, and it was like kind of the same concept
Right.
where it was like a translucent base with like incredibly glittery shadows.
That's very up your alley.
I like what I like. Uh, yeah, so that was my mini rant on Makeup Geek because I really want to support Marlena, but like, I don't know.
They're not really actually doing anything wrong, but they're not doing anything particularly interesting either.
Yeah.
Also, I'm never going to buy a Manny MUA palette.
No, never. Do you want to talk about?
I'm talking about Wendy or Kat?
Let's talk about Wendy. We'll end on Kat because we can just nosedive out of there into positive
Rage.
stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Urban Decay.
Oh,
Once the punk queens of mainstream makeup,
right.
which we did talk about, like bad naming stuff, right? What was that episode,
Yeah,
like
sure.
2 or 3?
Yep.
I'll link it in the blog post. We should listen to it if you haven't. Despite their many drug references and like weird cringy sex references, my main problem with them now is, well, it was that they're owned by L'Oreal, and then it became that they're actually not doing anything interesting anymore.
Yeah. I just feel like it was one letdown after another after like loving so many releases from them that it was just like when I die, I would love Urban Decay to let me down into my grave so they can let me down one last time.
I feel like Naked 123 palettes, very cool, were pretty interesting and original at the time. And then, not unlike Anastasia, somebody cut the brake lines and then they just kept going and they kept making more Naked palettes. And like they got popular because they were doing cool, weird colors and like weird, strange looking duochromes and unique stuff that like wasn't for the regular 9 to 5, like conventionally attractive popular kids.
I agree. And it's just so disappointing that like Naked. Okay, I'm also really sad they discontinued the original Naked palette because I feel like they should just keep that there, if nothing else, for nostalgia to be like, this is where it all started. And it was the only cool tone palette, and like, well, actually, Naked Smoky, but that one flopped too, and like, I don't know.
Okay,
I
I'm
kind
on. They have Naked Heat, Naked 3, Naked Honey, Naked Cherry, Naked Reloaded. They also have the Born to Run and I think a Born to Run mini. They now have the new. Okay, I will give them credit for the new Wired palette because it's like an updated electric.
I wish it was better quality because I want to give them credit where credit's due. That they said they saw that we were going, give us some bright colors, give us the electric vibes, and they said okay, and then they released like kind of a dud. But like, I wish it wasn't a dud, and I hope this doesn't deter them from releasing more cool stuff like that.
It's not a dud because we don't like bright colors. It's a dud because it's bad quality and you're owned by L'Oreal. They also
Yeah.
have the Naked Petite Heat and then 2 of the mini Naked Basics and then the On the Run mini.
Which the Naked Basics Ultimate palette was like a really, really good color story, but way too bulky. It was like gigantic and like ridiculous. But they discontinued Naked Basics but kept the minis. Silly. Super silly, Urban Decay. Stop being so silly.
So of their something like 10 palettes, 7 of them are in the Naked line.
Do you remember when they used to release palettes that were super limited edition, always pop culture themed, but like never like Disney pop culture? It was always like
Pixar?
Yeah. Pulp Fiction.
I had the
Alice
Alice in Wonderland. I tracked it down on Reddit.
Jackass and Disney. The original Alice in Wonderland was like the coolest thing ever. Do you know when they started to really disappoint me?
Gwen Stefani.
So I love Gwen Stefani.
That palette was a hot mess.
I remember hearing that she was collabing with them and being like, this is what I was born for. I was born to buy this palette. I will love it with all of my heart. And it came out, it was like the most boring neutral thing.
Well, it's funny because I feel like Gwen Stefani as a person is more about like a winged
Blue
eyeliner.
lipstick. Yeah.
And I kind of was like, wish they had done a No Doubt palette.
Right? Like they did
But
a
the Gwen
now
Stefani
palette.
It's basically what 14 neutral shades and then
Pop of blue
the signature pop of blue.
Yeah. That palette is what started the
there's 15 shades and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9
of
of them are skin toned. Are white people
skin toned. Yeah, that palette like started the disappointment train that has yet to stop.
Yep.
Because I was so excited for that palette. I remember like I literally even did my nails because that was back when I did like my nail art blog. I did my nails in the same pattern that the artwork was, and I was like, I'm so excited. And then it just sucked.
If you didn't listen to episode, was it 7 about nail polish stuff yet? Go back and listen to it.
Yes.
It's called Claws. Gwen Stefani palette was super disappointing.
And then in more recent times, the most disappointing thing that they've ever done.
Basquiat.
No, that was just more distasteful than disappointing.
That was really cringy to me.
Thrones palette.
Oh, Game of Thrones was really bad. I forgot about that.
The Game of Thrones palette was really bad because none of the houses were represented accurately with their color schemes. Correct. And they were just like a lame color story where it's just like none of these colors are even unique. None of them make sense for the house. Like
they were really bad. And it was basically, what was it, like a matte row and then like a corresponding glitter shadow in basically the same shade as one of the matte shades. But it was all like primary color. Like there was red, blue, green, silver, and like white or something.
It was insulting. Almost as insulting as the finale of Game of Thrones.
You were gonna say that. It was bad.
But yeah, like,
I really not to be like, oh yeah, my morals are like, if it's good enough, I will throw them out the window. I generally like don't buy anything that is under the L'Oreal umbrella. I own one Urban Decay product. I hate using it. Like it really impacts my enjoyment of what is not a terrible product because I'm like, I know they're owned by L'Oreal.
Is this the cider?
I got the hiccup.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you. This is the cider we bought on the street in Pittsburgh.
Did you try it yet?
No.
Wait for it.
That's pretty good.
Pineapple something?
No, that was the beer we bought on the street in Pittsburgh. This is some guy would make cider. I'm sorry. Anyway, sorry. Devin just came in for those of you who are listening and handed me a glass of cider that we bought last week, and I'm very excited about it.
That's lovely. Nick and I cracked into a 12-pack of, well, I say cracked into, we each had one, but of Montucky Cold Snack today, which is a ridiculously cheap beer that like in bars is like $2 usually. Yes. But it's like a perfectly pleasant, fine. Sometimes you just want like a plain beer.
Right?
You can always have a Paloma with 2 shots of agave-based liquor in it.
There's always room in my heart for a Bud Light.
I was more of a Coors Light person.
Really?
There was a time in college where I drank Coors Light because I was doing Weight Watchers and it was only 1 point.
That can't be how that works.
I mean, that's certainly not how it's supposed to work. But
what were we talking about? We were talking about
Urban Decay. I was saying that while I don't regularly throw all my morals out the window because I generally don't think I knowingly, besides my one Urban Decay product, I don't knowingly own anything else that's owned by L'Oreal. But I so like want Urban Decay to do well and just like come out with interesting shit.
I do too. And like, so I do own Urban Decay. my ethics are.
It's not one of the ones that I'm like, oh my God, how dare you? Like, I just choose not to.
Yeah. I haven't canceled them fully. And like, I should, I know that, but like, they're not yet. But like I love their glitter liners and I love their moon dust shadows, which like you know me and glitter, and like they're just like a glittery, beautiful concoction. And my problem with Urban Decay, aside from like their lackluster releases, are like this glitter liner is $20.
They're quite expensive
And like so are the moon dust shadows. They're $20 a pop. It's just like
for a single eyeshadow.
I will never be able to afford the line or like even half of the line or like half of the shadows that I'd love to try from them. Like I have 2 of these that I ended up collecting over time. And it's just like I'll never be the person that goes and buys like 6 of the shades because I want to try them.
The thing that kills me is that from my very limited understanding of production, their products are objectively cheaper to manufacture than, say, Sugar Pill, which is a much smaller company.
Yeah.
Sugar Pill is consistently putting out more interesting products for a fraction of the cost. Their eyeshadows in the casing are $13, I think, and the single shadows that like just the pan are $10.
Yeah.
And they're huge.
They're gigantic and they're phenomenal. But like, yeah, and I'm not saying that luxury brands shouldn't exist.
Urban Decay is not a luxury brand.
But that what I was gonna say, but Urban Decay isn't a luxury brand, and I feel like they should have almost done something similar to what MAC did, where they're like, all right, let's adjust for the culture that's out there right now, where it's like we're not selling single shadows for $20 anymore because ColourPop sells them for $4. We don't necessarily have to sell them for $4, but we certainly shouldn't sell them for $20. And like I look at these moon dust shadows, and I'm kind of just like, all right, guys.
If they ditched the casing and sold them for $13, I bet they would fly off the shelves.
Right? Like, I don't even have them in the casing. Like, I pop them out of the casing because I don't want the casing. Like, just sell them to me for $13.
Also, stop giving us bulky plastic packaging. We care about the environment a lot more than we care about your $20 eyeshadow.
And like a bulky plastic, you know me and travel-friendly makeup, like a bulky plastic container suck. Like, give me something travel-friendly.
Well, that's why they do all their mini palettes. I will give them credit. Petite Heat is very cute and fun to say.
And it is fun to say. I like the Naked Basics, but I don't know, man. They just disappoint me time after time with every single collab where I sit back and I'm just like, if I had designed this, this is what it would have looked like. And like, I remember when the Urban Decay Game of Thrones palette came out, it was on Makeup Addiction, where people were like making their own versions of it that were like 30 times better. And I was just like, wow, I wish any of these iterations existed other than the one.
They now put out products like a mainstream brand that's owned by L'Oreal and not like Urban Decay. They're literally called Urban Decay. That used to like have a oomph, like
it was
a thing.
Art graffiti of makeup.
Yeah, it was meant to be. I really hate the words that are about to come out of my mouth, but it was meant to be like edgy and alternative and for like the punk kids.
Yes.
I'm mad about it.
I'm mad about it.
I'm mad about it, and I don't even buy from them because of who owns them.
But you know what, Wendy, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
You know who I am mad at, though?
Who? Kat Von.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine Von dipshit.
Wow. I was going to say Kat Von Dingus.
Also good. She has since been removed, thankfully, from the brand. I personally could rant about her shittiness as a human being or a sorry excuse for a human being for a very long time. I know you can as well.
Yeah.
But I have plenty of bones to pick just with the products, just with the releases.
Me too, honestly.
So let's skip the anti-vax Nazi ranting and just get to the shitty product releases.
Like, they did the same goddamn thing that Urban Decay did, where like it used to be like every single KVD release, I was just like, yes, I can't wait for it. It's going to be a beautiful color story that's unique and different. And they just went to like neutral palettes and lackluster, uninspired color theory what are you doing releases.
I feel like her releases really lost their creativity. Not her. The brand's releases really lost their creativity. They're basically releasing the same shit that everybody else is doing in their like chunky black fake edgelord packaging of like, I'm making it cool for like goth kids to still have pink lipstick.
Yeah, and like back in the day, before before Kat's shitty past surfaced, and shitty present. It's not like she stopped being shitty, but like her shittiness surfaced. It was like the alternative makeup where it was kind of in the same realm of Urban Decay, where it's like, I want a blue, I want a purple, I want something that like Too Faced doesn't make, you know?
Was easily one of my favorite brands before I knew that she sucked.
Yeah.
But we're talking 2 to 4 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just like, and like the Shade and Light palette I thought was great because it was like a very good neutral palette. And I think every brand should have a good neutral palette, but you only need one. You don't need a ton of neutral options.
I realize that neutrals are probably what the vast majority of makeup users are buying.
Sure, but then don't buy from Kat Von D, which is supposed to be like a punk rock.
Right. I think it's totally reasonable for like every brand to have like warm neutrals, cool neutrals, whatever. Everybody needs some of the like basics to be covered.
Yeah.
But like, don't just keep doing it in new packaging and be like,
yeah,
this is the same thing, but also we added an orange, or this is the same thing, but also we gave you a pop of blue, or in Too Faced, this is the same thing, but we gave you that shitty purple eyeshadow with the same terrible formula in every palette. Like, do other stuff, especially now when everybody's doing, like, everybody's just so obsessed with producing more product all the time, and I wish they would all take a step back and slow down and just give us one thing that's really good.
I agree.
I mean, Sugar Pill put out Fun Size and those two, well, I don't really like the packaging of the molecule, whatever capsules, but I think the color stories are good.
They're beautiful. Yeah, it's possible as a brand to make a neutral palette and still make cool other stuff.
I mean, I'm mad at Melt right now, but I still think the 420 palette has a beautiful color story.
It's lovely. It really is. Black Moon Cosmetics is another brand that I think of when I think of like a neutral palette, but you still make cool shit. And like the neutral palette makes sense and it didn't go so off brand that you're just like, who are you?
I bought it and then I sold it. Wait, did I sell it to you?
No, you didn't sell it to me.
I don't remember who bought it.
Did you not like it?
I just basically had all the shades. And like, I already have my neutrals that I like to use.
Yeah, so I had heard someone review it as like, who's buying this? But like, I could respect a brand's desire to have a neutral palette amongst their other cool stuff as like a, like if you're a diehard Black Moon Cosmetics fan and like, you needed another neutral palette, because like I needed a neutral palette last year. You know, mine had.
I think also if you're, you know, me 10 years ago, like Too Faced and Tarte are not, like, I was not the target market for them.
Right.
I got into them because I was watching a ton of YouTube and they were popular, and I was already in my mid 20s and not having as much of an identity complex. But as a, like, in my late teens, if Kat Von D, Black Moon, Tarte, and Too Faced all put out the same palette, I can guarantee you I would have bought it from Kat or Black Moon and not Tarte and Too Faced.
Right. So like I can respect a brand's desire to have a neutral palette, but like
for sure,
have an identity and also don't forget who you are because you have a neutral palette. If that doesn't sound like way deeper than it needs to be for a makeup brand.
But I think like having a point of view and having your approach to what you're doing is really important.
Yeah.
Like I think it was called Orb of Light, the Black Moon palette. And
I thought it was really nice.
It wasn't for me. The color story was fantastic. It was in this half moon shape and it was like about the phases of the moon.
Yeah.
And it kind of went from these like lighter neutrals to gray, like a deep red and a black. And like, it was great. It made sense.
It did. It was really nice.
It fit the brand and also filled in that like need for basic neutrals that any makeup user has.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Kat Von D just like, aside from being terrible herself, like kind of just started to just disappoint us with releases.
I
Like
mean,
I'll use the Lolita one as an example.
that's where I was going.
Because I really wanted the original Lolita palette, but like it was while she was canceled and I could not buy from the brand. And actually it's gone now in Sephora, so it
It's
sucks.
basically the Naked 3.
Yeah, but all matte, a little bit smaller. And like I actually preferred that one because I had the Lolita lipstick and blush, and like I love the single blush eyeshadow color.
Mm-hmm.
So like when she released the palette, I was kind of just like, wow, I wish she didn't suck. But then she took that and like kept going and released like the, I don't know what it was called, the bigger Lolita palette,
Oh yeah.
where all it was like the same shadows that were in the smaller one with like a couple of shimmers. And it was just like, I don't know why you did that. Like that's not.
Oh, is it the same thing, but then like there was a glitter version of all of the same shades, basically?
Something like
Something like
that.
that.
I'm trying to think of all the things that she released.
I
The
don't
Saint
know.
Sinner line and just like stuff that kind of just like, she doesn't have the same issue that Too Faced and Tarte had, where it's just like, whose brand is this? Like, you know, a Kat Von D product when you see it.
But because of the packaging
But
anymore,
because
not
of the
because it's
packaging.
an interesting product. Like this, what is it? The Kitten Mini Shade and Light Contour Duo could be literally anyone.
Right, like that's what I was gonna say. Like, you could have taken that Lolita palette and put it in Too Faced packaging, and no one would have doubted it was a Too Faced release. Whereas,
Same
like,
with this, the Lolita Por Vida. The
that's the one I'm talking
swatches
about.
are like anybody could have done this.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Whereas, like, if you took the Mi Via Loca remix palette or like any of her older releases, like, you know that color story is coming from KVD. And like, if you put that in a Too Faced palette, you'd be like, well, that's not it. Like, I don't think that's theirs, you know?
I think Pastel Goth was one of the first missteps.
Yeah,
Mi Vida Loco Remix, while the packaging was a huge misstep, the color story was super on brand and like it fit them, and I bought it
I had it.
and then I sold it.
And then I destroyed it by trying to depot it. Story of my life.
Yeah, I just hate that like over time all of these brands start to look alike, and as the market gets more and more full right now with all of the products that are available, I just wish they would take a step back and put out something interesting that makes them stand out instead of basically all blending together. And I'm just picking products based on the pretty packaging now.
I agree. And like, one of the brands that I look at that did it right is Huda Beauty, even though I don't love Huda
Yes.
herself.
She's definitely had some missteps, not like on par with Kat.
God, no. But like,
That's,
there's 9
that's
10 palettes. I know you love them.
I have 4.
I think they are incredible, and they spark the entire ColourPop like monochromatic line. And like, they were truly something that, like,
This is a
while
fantastic palette.
while some of the color stories already existed, the concept itself of like the monochromatic palette was like honestly lacking. And like, the neon ones that she came out with were the first thing in a while that the both of us were just like, that's new and different.
These
Love
are
it.
great. I just held
Yeah.
up the Huda Coral Obsessions and then the Neon Pink. Yeah, Neon
That
Pink
neon
Obsessions.
green one really drew me in.
That's the one I didn't buy. I have the pink and the orange.
But yeah, like, they were one of the first releases in a while that was just like, that's new and different, that's fun, and like still very on brand for Huda Beauty.
I think they fit. I love her evolution from those huge palettes to the mini ones that actually make it more accessible for me because they are super easy to travel with. I think that they're really cohesive in that each one has a complete and functional color story that you can get multiple looks. Because like, even if KVD Vegan Beauty, as it's now called, even if that was your favorite brand, even if you loved that all like pinky mauve toned Lolita palette, you really get like the same 2 looks out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like Huda nails that in that you can get multiple looks, but also I have 4 of them and they all work together. Like I
Yeah.
definitely do looks where I've used at least one shade from all of them.
And even from coming from those big palettes to the smaller ones, like they still manage to maintain the brand.
Yeah. And I think
Like,
Sugar Pill has done that well too with their fun size in this smaller, more compact, also 9 pan. Like
yeah.
you can be really successful. Size isn't everything, guys.
Yeah, it's just I don't like when brands like lose themselves in the money because they realize the naked palettes took off and like now that's all they want to make, or like yeah, I don't know. It just I like brands that stay true to what they not what they started as, because everyone deserves to grow as a brand, but like
Yeah.
don't grow by selling out and like making one product and running with it.
I will say benefit for all of their
Oh fuck, we forgot to talk about benefit.
I'm getting there. I think they have stuck with their same style for the most part. They definitely have that kind of, is retro the right word?
uh
Vintage.
Retro future,
Like it makes me think of what people in the 50s thought the future was going to look like.
retro future. It's one of my favorite themes ever, actually.
Um
But I don't like what Benefit does. God,
I
go
don't
on.
love their stuff. I do think that they do a couple of really great products. I've been buying Gimme Brow on and off for years, but every time I'm like, Benefit is just so not cool. But this is a really good product. I do think that they collab with Bad Choices. They
Who
did
did they
like,
collab with?
I don't know if it was a real collab, but they had a bunch of YouTubers like on their packaging a couple years ago. And I think there was
Oh,
like
I've
one with Jeffree Star and Manny MUA. And I'm like, why? Why was this? You do not need them.
they just wanted the money.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if that they have really evolved badly, which was kind of the theme of our episode today. But they haven't really evolved, period.
Yeah, that was the point of like they haven't changed. Like stop releasing the same Cheekathon palette in giant bulky packaging
Oh god.
year after year after year, because like it's one thing to stay true to your brand message, like Huda Beauty, how she went from like the big palettes to the little ones, but like also evolved over time. The
Yeah.
Cheekathon is still like 2008 big bulky packaging, like brush on the bottom that no one wants kind of thing. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It is
Like don't
$60. Who's buying a 5 huge blush thing with the 6th square being this like flat, crappy brush? And like, I think it comes with oh, sorry, it's Hula and Dallas. But for blush, like, there's nobody that all 5 of these shades work for the same person.
no, and it's the same repeat shades. Like if you bought that every year, you'd have like 6 repeated shades.
I feel
Stop
like
releasing
sometimes they
Hula.
do a cute thing. Like they had that Boing concealer and they recently redid it in packaging
That
that
was
kind of looks
cute.
like a pencil. And I know that they updated and re-released some new brow products in the last couple years. The Benefit Roller Lash Mascara I actually really like, and my mom keeps going back
Big
to that
fan.
one. But then they do stuff like, I don't know, the Hula brow, just let Hula die.
Right? Like, or just revamp it and make it like 2020 friendly. Like, stop selling it in a giant package that takes up half of my makeup collection.
While
Just
I give them
grow.
credit for using a cardboard packaging rather than like a big bulky plastic
Yeah.
thing, it's so huge. It's like probably 2 inches by 2 inches in like a square, but the pan is like you dig it out and stick it in a Z palette. Why?
Yeah.
Just let me
It's
buy
like,
the thing. I mean, I'm not buying it anyway. But they came out with is it Dallas? I don't know. They do have some nice shades.
they do, but like, Jesus, let the cheekathons die.
Also, the Hello Happy, all of their complexion products have the like heart eyes smiley face on everything. I don't know. I don't think that they've evolved badly. I just don't know that they've evolved enough.
Yeah, that's exactly where I stand with them. Where it's like, I like some of the things they release. I just stop being so bulky.
Yeah, I think their packaging is just really bulky and outdated,
Because I
which
feel
is,
like, yeah, like bulky packaging used to be the thing, but like now it's not.
And yet they do some things that are like incredible, where they have like a dozen shades of their brow gel and they have a pure gray. Like nobody's really doing that, to have
I
a
love the
cool
gray.
gray tone, which is what's in my brows today, and I'm so in love with it.
I love
And
that.
then they do stuff like I don't know. I feel like they're not quite there.
They're not. They're not the
Also, I
worst.
just
But
realized, do
like,
they not do eyeshadow at all?
no.
It's like just complexion products and mascara, basically. I've never really noticed that before.
Yeah, I can dig that.
Oh, excuse me. Uh, on the other hand, I certainly wouldn't argue that they don't have a point of view and don't know who they are and who they're appealing to, because they've nailed that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Benefit, but I just feel like they need to update their packaging and like stop playing out the same theme year after year with like the cheekathons. I think the cheekathons are what like kind
I
of
mean,
bother
I
me.
just really think, wow, they're really, oh no, that's the mini. I was like, I know their things are more expensive than that. To sell a $30 blush in this huge cardboard packaging that comes with that brush that nobody wants, like, I really think that their products for the most part are fine. I don't know if I've really had a lot of Benefit products where I'm like, wow, this is really bad, except for Hula. But I think the packaging really needs a revamp and an update. I'm
Yeah.
cool with their like retro future idea, but you still need to streamline the packaging a bit.
Heck yeah.
And stop including brushes that people don't want.
God, please stop including brushes. I think that's like one of the things that drives me like the most angry with brands that I love is when they just include like a shitty cheap brush where it's like I wish you didn't.
I hate when eyeshadow palettes have like a brush in the thing, because
And
you
then
don't
that
keep it
swat
in
is
there
forever there.
anyway.
Yeah. Ugh.
Can we talk about my honorable mention?
Yeah.
I think we have to talk about Melt.
This makes me sad.
Melt Cosmetics is one of my top 3, if not my all-time favorite makeup brand up to this point. But ever since they got into Sephora, which like good for them, Laura and Dana have worked their butts off. They've put out so much good stuff. But I feel like I can feel the pressure that they're under to pump out new
Yeah.
products. And stop putting out palettes. Just give me a damn stack. That's
Give
why
me
you
a
guys
snack.
blew up, like those eyeshadow stacks, these magnetic, literally a stack of 4 to 5 eyeshadows where the top had the logo with a mirror on the inside. I have so many of them. Oh, let me reach. I literally have them all stacked together in like my favorite combination. They're brilliant. And like when I travel, you can just take them apart and like take what you want. And they've been making palettes and they're basically the same shape as the Urban Decay.
Their palettes are so long and like not travel friendly. It's the only thing keeping me aside from like a couple of other things.
They do fit
Yeah.
into my like travel cosmetic bag. And like, I'm not going to play it like it's not incredibly beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
But I just want a stack.
Give me
And
a snack.
also, please stop doing marijuana themed products.
Yeah. The 420 palette was just frustrating.
Enough with the weed. And like, I feel like if they were using it to raise awareness for like how legalization and decriminalization like disproportionately favors white people, or like donate part of the profits to helping like people of color negatively impacted by racial profiling and other like legalization related issues, fine. But it's just like, oh my God, 420, yay. They made like bowls and grinders. And I thought it was a stack and I got so excited on their Instagram. I was like, oh my God, they did make a new
I
stack.
know.
And then it was a fucking grinder.
Yeah, that was.
I haven't used a grinder since I was like 20.
Yeah. Yeah. They deserve the honorable mention, but like I think they've stayed true to who they are, like brand image wise.
Laura is Mexican. And I just
Yeah.
wish she was like, we're pumped about the color stories that we come up with relating to like weed and if they wanted to do their 420 palette and they have their smoke sessions palette, they basically do like a release for 420 every year, which, oh my God, come on. But I wish she was like, not that any one person is single-handedly responsible for educating the masses, but if she was using it to be like, hey, you know that like 98% of dispensary owners are white, and like most of the people in jail for marijuana related crimes are not white. Cool. Like raise awareness, do something with that. They're not. They're like, yay, I'm so high, I'm so stoned. Oh my God, stop. STAHP. Stop.
Ah. Yeah, I'm with you. It almost hurts to put them in that category because, like I said, I think they've maintained like
Honorable mention.
yeah, honorable mention. I will still continue to buy from Melt, and like every new release will excite me, but I will probably be disappointed by a lot of new releases.
I bought the Vida and Muerte palettes, but that was the only thing I bought from their holiday. Well, I bought 2 eyeshadow palettes, but I didn't buy anything else from the holiday collection. And I think the last things I bought were like Gemini and Baby Girl. So basically like 2 products from the same release in the last like year and a half. Whereas I used to buy like basically every single thing that came out.
You know my issue with Melt.
That you want an olive stack?
I fall in love with half of every palette they release, and I would buy them if they weren't so goddamn expensive. Like if the palettes weren't $54, I would buy it because I love half the palette, but I can't justify spending like $52 on a palette that I like half of. And they tease me because almost every palette they've released has had like half greeny olives and then like half stuff I already have. And like all I want is a beautiful olive palette. So I feel like they should stop teasing me with olives on half of an expensive palette and just release an olive stack already because I can't
I almost
be the person.
got you one because I have 20% off right now. I almost got you one for your birthday, but I didn't want you to yell at me.
No, because it's just not meant to be until they release an olive stack. Consider this my silent Melt protest.
I do. I really like the color story of the new 420 palette,
it's
but
really pretty.
I told myself that if it came on Sephora while I still had 20% off, I would consider it because I have Vita and I have Gemini, and it's basically the best shades from those 2 smashed together. But it still just says coming soon.
Oh, it does? I thought it was supposed to be released on 420.
It's on their website, but it's not on Sephora yet.
Oh, all right.
They like to do that.
Sephora missed out on the cool part of it being 420, I guess. Now
I bet it was part of their contract that like it's not in the sale. But yeah, so brands that evolved badly. We covered a few that evolved well. We didn't talk about cover effects though, which I also felt like deserved an honorable mention for brands that have evolved well.
Okay.
I kind of knew that they were around and I never really heard much about them. And then was it last year or the year before they came knocked the glass over.
What did you do?
I just knocked my glass over, but it was empty. But they came out with that Power Play line.
Okay.
So they have a Power Play foundation and concealer. And I feel like that was just really well done with a really solid shade range and also this fascinating shape on the applicator. It's like I don't know, it's like a doe foot, but it's a ball shape.
Yeah, I like that.
I just felt like it was done really well, and all of a sudden I heard people talking about cover effects all the time again. And then they had those custom cover drops or whatever they were called that I know you liked.
I love those.
So I feel like they still exist, right? Yes. I think Sephora has a very limited selection, but on the brand's website and on Ulta, they still have a bunch. Okay. Yes, unlike Tara, if you can't find something on Sephora, just try Googling it and see where you can find it elsewhere.
Oh, no, Sephora. Guess doesn't exist.
It's gone forever. But yeah, so I think that they've done a good job of kind of being like steady under the radar to now being like having a full selection at like Sephora and Caps and in Ulta.
Yeah, they have those monochromatic blushes that actually look beautiful too.
Monochromatic blushes.
It's like a duo where it's like a matte and then the shimmer companion of like blushes. They're really pretty. You should look them up. They're nice. I feel like if I tell you that, you might actually just buy one. But this
I'm trying
actually
not to
got me
buy
thinking.
anything for the next 4 weeks other than groceries. I'm not doing any shopping.
This had me thinking, like, because we ripped Too Faced and Tarte in the beginning for being like neutrally annoying, right? Charlotte Tilbury is another brand where I feel like has maintained their image throughout the years without being like pop of blue neutral sellouts.
I
Where
think
like,
they've done a good job with the progression in their neutral palettes because I think the way they're split up is I think they're either 12 or 16 shades, but it's split up that it essentially gives you four is it four quads or four trios? And so you automatically, even though, like, let's say, I don't know who's spending that much on a palette who's not super into makeup. But let's say you buy that and you know nothing, it's like giving you a roadmap of how to use it. The unfortunate thing is, despite those high prices, all the packaging is plastic and the first ingredients are always talc and mica. So I almost never buy from them.
I will never buy from them, but I feel like they've maintained an image that like makes sense for them, if that makes any sense at all. Where like if they released a colorful palette, it would still kind of make sense to me.
Okay, you're right. These things are really pretty.
I know.
Monochromatic blush duo. They're not on Sephora, but they are on Ulta.
But like, I don't know. There are, just because like I was thinking about the fact that we've ripped Too Faced and Tarte, and like there are brands that can release neutral palettes time after time after time that like make sense.
But I also think it makes more sense in that luxury bracket.
Yeah.
Like, I think the people that are buying Charlotte Tilbury, Chanel, Dior, Givenchy, they're not the ones looking for a hot purple lipstick. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
But
know.
like for Urban Decay to do it, I'm like, why?
Right. So yeah, I just feel like I ripped neutral palettes, and like my issue isn't with neutral palettes. It's
Yeah,
just the
no, that's
messaging.
not, it's lack of identity
Yeah.
and like point of view. And also
Yeah,
like being sexy, but also trying to appeal to young kids. That really irks me.
yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, that is our ramble and rant on brands that have just lost themselves in the way and succumb to realizing what makes money and not giving a fuck about anything else.
So the Charlotte Tilbury, it is 12 shades. It's got like 4 trios. It's $75.
A lot of money. They were probably a poor example, but they were the first ones I thought of when I was thinking of like brands that release neutral stuff all the time that like.
But you're not wrong though. Like, it's a good approach to the palette. It's got several different like doable looks because it ranges from just like light fleshy tones that would probably be great with like a winged eyeliner to definitely one of those palettes that you could like go from day to night.
Oh my god, how can I not even think of my favorite brand for eyeshadow? Viseart. So Viseart has their like for makeup artists. I have it, the neutral mattes palette.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a couple of variations of that. But then they also have like bright, colorful ones that are still in that same packaging. And then they have their like, so those are like intended for makeup artists, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then I bought one because
You have this one, the neutral matte?
I bought that one not because I think I'm a makeup artist. I probably suck at makeup, but I bought it because I've been on the hunt for like a neutral matte palette that is travel friendly, and I thought that one was gorgeous.
I don't think that you suck at makeup, but I do think a lot of those shades are really similar.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what I want. Like, I don't have neutrals. I have colors, and I needed like a neutral base. I wanted it to be all matte because I have glitter toppers. I digress.
I always wanted
think
the editorial brights palette from them.
so did I, and like the dark mattes one too. But I think that whole line, regardless of the fact that it shifts from neutrals to colorfuls, makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think they're like for consumer brand makes sense as well. They have like 2 parts where it's like the pro line that we were just talking about, and then like the fun ones that the petite palettes they're doing now.
Yeah, we just talked about, what were we talking about? What was that episode? But we talked about the shoo one.
Smash or
Oh, is
pass.
it Smash or Pass?
Yeah.
Because they
Oh,
they have the shoo one that I thought was really cute.
I thought that was adorable too. And like, I think that all of their packaging makes sense. All of their releases and like who they're intended for all make sense within the same umbrella. And it's very different stuff, but still makes sense for Viseart. Whereas like Too Faced and Tarte doesn't make any fucking sense because it's all a
I
bunch of
do
different
want
stuff.
to know how 8 eyeshadows is $30, but 12 is $80.
Well, that's the different umbrella. Like, I feel like the ones in like the plastic packaging.
The more expensive ones are also a lot more product. It's like
Yeah.
4 times the size. Or
And
3
like,
times the size, but
I have regret nothing on having that palette.
yes, our issue is not really with brands doing neutrals. It's more losing their identity, not having a point of view, and doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and like throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, and just like, I don't know, just going theme after theme. It just feels more money hungry than like makeup loving.
Yeah, I kind of wish, not that like anybody should dig their heels in and like not give themselves room to grow. And I mean that from a brand perspective as well. But I don't know, just like make a decision and stick with it and like see what happens. Everything's just so wishy washy.
And evolve, don't pivot.
I don't know who this quote is from, but I remember it from, I don't know, I've had it in my head since I was a kid, but I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is to try to please everyone.
Yeah.
Just like make a call, come up with an idea, preferably one that is not racist, and like make something cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Be different, be cool. And like, even if you're doing neutrals, like just find something in the industry that like needs to be made. I don't know.
You know
Too
what
Faced.
needs to be made? Some neutrals for darker skin tones.
Yeah.
Not unlike the Jackie Aina palette from ABH that has already disappeared. Like, guys, retire Modern Renaissance. It's been 4 years. Bring
Yeah.
Jackie Aina palettes back. Jackie Aina's palette back. I think that
Yeah.
was all my
So
things.
I hope we made ourselves clear because I don't hate brands that try different color palettes and color stories. I hate brands that try so many different themes because they're just trying to please consumers and like just want to make money. And like if a brand stays consistent and like can release a bunch of colors under their same like brand umbrella, that makes sense for them. And I respect that a lot more than confetti. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was this episode where we decided to just tear into some brands that didn't see that coming.
I think it was needed. I think for this blog post, I'm not going to list every single product that we talked about because a lot of them we were not saying particularly nice things, but maybe I'll list a couple of our favorites from the brands that we are enjoying and that we do think evolved well. And yeah, I don't know. Just make a decision and do something cool.
Yeah. You know, shop smart. Do some research, figure out what you like, and find brands that align with what you like.
And if you don't know what to buy, please shoot us a message on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Shit, you can send us an email. I don't care. Just, I don't know. Don't buy bad things.
Don't buy from brands that just want your money. Buy brands that make really cool, inspired color stories and love makeup as much as you do.
And we will link some of those in the blog post for this episode at beautybirdspodcast.com. You should subscribe to that so you get emails when we have new posts. You should also follow us on Instagram at beautybirdspodcast, on Twitter at beautybirdspod, and on Facebook at /beautybirdspodcast. Also, stay home, wash your hands. Your haircut can wait.
Yeah.
Or do what I do and just have your partner take clippers to your head. That's fine too.
I've been cutting my own hair, which will end bad eventually.
I didn't even notice. It looks great.
Thanks. It's short, so like I didn't realize it needs to be maintained as much as it does. It'll end poorly eventually. I'm promising myself Promising myself that I will dye my hair blonde after all of this ends by going to a proper hairstylist once social distancing is no longer required. And that is keeping me from buying box dye throughout all of this.
Social distancing will end faster if you stay the fuck home.
Please and thank you. And if you are running on a trail with a friend or two friends or two family members, I don't care who they are to you. If you are running on a trail, please stop being three wide. Single file yourselves when someone else is trying to pass you, because I live in a city and I'm getting really frustrated when I go to take my dog and baby for a walk because you can't leave one. The whole gang has to come with me, and there's like clogs of people that are like 6 deep on this one trail that's across the street from my apartment. So anyway, if you're that person, stop being that person. Single file yourself when you're on a trail because it's rude.
Also, for anybody that's been following along, please note, Tara received her package today. I finally sent it. It has arrived.
It was
Baby
the coolest
formula
thing ever.
has been delivered along with early birthday present.
Becca is the coolest person ever. I found myself ripping through that gift, literally just going, yes, yes, with like everything I opened. She doesn't have hair anymore because she shaved it off. So she sent me her hair goodies, which...
Oh, right. Are you using it today?
I did. I used it today. I'm actually kind of thrilled about it. It smells delicious and makes my hair feel really airy and like nice, like fluffy.
I think it was from Together Beauty, also a brand I really like.
Never heard of them, but I'm a fan now.
Is that the brand? Anyway. Yeah, so Mom, I did send it. Thank you. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, peace out.
Bye.